Dear God, be with us this morning as we are gathered in your name, and bless both the preaching and the hearing of your word. Amen. We have about 4 or 5 parables that Jesus shares with his disciples and the crowds. There were many followers, probably hundreds or maybe even thousands of people. And it seemed as if the parables were something that people could understand. And even today, the parables, the old parables, the powerful ones are things that people can more readily understand. I take exception, and I do so very humbly, with the last of the parables, and this is the one. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a net that was thrown into the sea and caught fish of every kind. And when it was full, they drew it ashore, sat down, and put the good into baskets, but threw out the bad. So it will be at the end of the age. The angels will come out and separate the evil from the righteous and throw them into the furnace of fire, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. I take exception for a couple of reasons. One is that I no longer believe in hell, where there will be an eternal fire and great gnashing of teeth. To me, personally, it doesn't matter what it is you believe, but personally, I cannot believe in this great, compassionate God of love who has created this special place of suffering for people who have made mistakes in their life. And I also take exception about making differences, judgments between the good and the bad. And we all do that, don't we? We all make judgments every day about people that we see, the people that we meet, people that we hear about, and we make judgments about whether a person is good and about whether a person is bad. And we are quite happy to judge someone as bad and many believe and hope, that there is a hell, eternal damnation for these bad people to go to. I think we have to rise above this. We have to understand that the Bible was written 2,000 or more years ago, and they had a certain understanding of the way the world was, and things have changed. Times have changed, and hopefully our understanding has changed. So who would we want to send to eternal fire? Hitler is probably the number one name. Clifford Olson in Canada, that's another name. And you could probably go down a list. But was there a reason why these people were the way that they were? Are bad people bad because they choose to be bad? Do we think that people wake up one morning and say, you know what? I'm going to become an alcoholic because that's the way I want to live my life. I'm going to become a child abuser because I think that's a great thing to do. I'm going to follow a life of depression and someday I'm going to kill myself. That's not what happens. What happens is there are a string of events. There are hundreds and maybe even thousands of events and experiences that people have in their life to lead them to the place where other people would deem them bad. I'm not ready to send anybody to the eternal fires of damnation. I think it is our responsibility. We are called as Christians to try to understand why people are the way that they are. A person who commits suicide, the church has always taught that suicide is outside the graces of God and these people will go to hell. Seriously? People who commit suicide are severely depressed. They have a serious pain in their heart and a sadness that they cannot get rid of. I have great compassion for anybody who suffers from depression and who even contemplates or follows through on this decision of suicide. My love is like this. God's love that is greater than anything else that we have in this world will find compassion, love, understanding, and forgiveness for people. Child abusers, everybody wants to send people like that to eternal damnation. Do you understand that most people who commit this were victims at one point in their life? That changes when we understand. When we can see a young boy or a girl who was molested, and we have great compassion for them and anger towards the molester, but we also must understand that unless that is healed, the chances of these people doing something later in life is high. Can we find compassion, love, and forgiveness? Absolutely we can. So let's not be so quick to make judgments about the people in the world and how we see them and how we deem them bad or good. And I believe that the power of the gospel is that Jesus came into this world, and this is the story that I believe. Jesus came into the world to change the world, to change our understanding of God. And in the Old Testament and up to that point, there was so much legalism that if you broke the law, you were outside of God's family, you were outside of God's love and saving grace. And Jesus came and he said, we're changing that. Okay? This is a new covenant, a new way of seeing and doing things, and it is not based on people's action. It is based on forgiveness. It is based on God's great love and forgiveness. We hold up Romans chapter 8. There is nothing in all creation that can ever separate us from the love of God. Jesus came to bring this message to our lives. Amen.